Hey guys, I'm Sebastian. This is Don.
We're
at Huntington Beach, California. We're locally world famous chiropractors, and I know what you're going to say. Well, I've never heard of you. I know it's because you might not be by us. But if you're by us and you're like, well, I've never heard of you, you have now. It's a trick. So we're going to show you how to. A lot of people will search how to fix their disc herniation without surgery, and we're not going to necessarily use the term fix because I think it's misconstrued a lot of times, but we're going to show you how you can actually get into a pain-free state, at least make you really consider if you really need that surgery that you've been proposed. So Don, what are your thoughts on fixing a disc?
I think that the thing that people think about is like, you know, when it comes to a disc, you talk about bulging discs or protruding discs or things that are pressing on the spine or the spinal nerves and causing pain, right? And I think the most important thing is we're really just reducing what's causing it in the first place, seeing if we could decrease pain, and then building strength around the area to help manage this going forward. That's kind of what I think about when it comes to it.
Okay. So I kind of think about, like, I know that, like, people will, I remember there was a girl that came in the other day that she's kind of like I keep saying epiphany, but I'm going to say epitome. I think epitome is right? She's the epitome of this, where she had a disc problem. She had sciatica. It was confirmed on an MRI, and so she feels way better. She can run, she can do whatever she wants to do. She can lift weights, and so she said the other day, do you think I should get an MRI to see if it's still there? And I said, why? And she said, I just kind of want to see if it's there. And I said, do you hurt? She says, no. And I said, why does it matter? And so we find oftentimes that when people have pain, they will get an image and they'll see the disc. Whether it be perfect looking or it'll be like a little irritated or it'll be completely like blown out, right? And when we don't have pain, we don't look. And so I know that I have had a disc herniation for 20 years, but I've only really had less than a year of back pain total in that period of time. So logically we can say, well, I've had a disc for 20 years, but I only had back pain for a year. I have 19 years of no pain with a disc. Disc herniations make you pain-free. Wouldn't that not be good logic? So we're going to show you how to get rid of pain associated with a disc. But again, are we fixing anything? Are we fixing it, like pushing it back in? Probably not, but most of you don't care about that. And certainly we don't need to do a surgery to get you to feel good, function well, and so on. Most people can respond very well to actually just doing the stuff we're talking about. Yeah. And this is just step one of a recovery process. So what is disc herniation? I think we should address that real quick.
That's what we got this guy for.
This guy.
So disc herniations, number one, are, I wouldn't say, for lack of a better word, normal, but they're very common. So really it sounds common. Scary when you say like you herniated a disc or bulged a disc, but it's really, really common to see it, especially in the younger population. People under the age of 50, things of that sort. But what I'm going to do is...
Let's go off to the side and point to it. I think you got to go that way. We're working on improving our thumbnails here. Let's go here and yeah, point at it right there. Yeah, good. All right, cool. That'll be a good thumbnail. So here, you continue.
Okay. All right, guys. So this basically is like, say you take a segment of your low back and your spine, and we're going to pull it out right here. So this is the back side of you. This is the front side of you, top and bottom. Okay. And so you have your two vertebrae, top and bottom, and then this is your disc. These are your spinal nerves coming out right here. Okay, and so when we go through things like flexion and compression, you'll see this little tear occurring in the back here. So one thing could be just compression in general causes a bulge in the area. This kind of displaces outward, and you really only feel pain when things occur on the very outer third of the disc like this. Really, really bad ones can cause, I think I can get it to work here. There you go. So it's like jelly in the center of a donut, and when you press it really, really hard, it can come out and cause compression on the spinal nerve as well. That's not always what's occurring, but that is something that can occur. So there's different classifications of disc, bulges, herniations, protrusions, whatever it may be, but that is what it looks like on the inside.
Right. And so which things you might be experiencing with it is leg pain, generalized low back pain, kind of in like this area. It could be excruciating. You could be on the floor. It could be radiating into the butt cheek. sometimes around the groin area. Usually that comes about 3-4 days after your first experience with it. And you might even experience things like creepy crawlies and fasciculations of the leg and numbness, tingling down there too. But again, all these things, we've seen a lot of people with them. They're not a big deal unless they don't get better. The sooner you address these things, the quicker it can go away and you can go back to normal function. Lifting, playing baseball, basketball, all that stuff is very a big reality that people can do again. So one of the easiest things we can do is we can do the rescue position, we call it. And this is just a really good way to chill everything down, because everything in there, especially for the first 5 days after an actual disc issue, like say you're on the floor, and a lot of times it's worse in the morning, worse with bending forward, trying to put on your shoes. You can't get in and out of a car, and some people can't even they can't even sit on a toilet and get up off the toilet. So that is a really acute disc. Usually there's what we call like a normal 5-day period where it's angry in there. It's nature's way of healing the area up, but during that time we don't want to provoke it either. We just want to make things feel good and happy. So the rescue position is a good way to chill things down and make it so you can have moments where things don't really hurt. And so we're going to use a chair for this. We'll have Dawn do it first. Go ahead and line your back for me.
Oh, let's go this way.
Yeah, we'll go that way. Okay, so good, she's on camera. So all she has to do is just find what we call a position of comfort. And so when she goes through this, notice that her knees are roughly, so her ankles are at 90, her knees are at 90, her hips are at 90. And usually this is a good starting point to tweak from in the beginning of finding the position that's most comfortable for you. She might find out this is a little bit aggravating, but it's still better than what it was, so she can spread her knees a tad and just kind of relax the hips into the chair. So this is option 1. Option 2 is she can actually slide your body a little bit further through the legs of the chair. And so this adds a little bit of a low back round, which could be good, could be bad. A lot of times people, they'll like this position, but again, you have to get a little bit further away too. Next is you take the fingertips and go ahead and put them way down into the crease of the belt line. Are you too young for Al Bundy?
Mm-mm.
So this is Al Bundy breathing. So breathe into a double Al Bundy fingertips, okay? And breathe into the pads of the fingers, not the tips of the fingers. And just breathe into that area. What this does is it helps the internal pressure of the area in front of the spine help to decompress it. So this is a natural way to decompress without having to go and get your body yanked on, because at this point in time, if you're on the floor, you ain't gonna like that. And so just hang out here for a minute or two and go ahead and move around after that and see how you feel. Some people, if they're super cute, they're gonna wanna hang out in this position for like all day just because it feels so good. But you can always slide a little. If it's hard to like actually slide your body, you just kind of slide your legs closer, and that's option number 1.
What about?
Yeah, this is, so we can go through that. So Dawn's telling me, should I push my heels into the chair? So 5 pounds of pressure, you can push this into the chair. But notice how her butt kind of raises up off the ground. And so go ahead and do that again, just extreme, too much. There you go. So it raises up off, go ahead and relax. And so what this does is it produces a little bit of a round in the back, which will decompress it as well. So give me 5 pounds here. And again, it shouldn't hurt. It should feel good. If it hurts, then just don't do this part. Fingertips into the belly. Give me a double Al Bundy and just breathe there for a minute, really deep. Okay? In the nose, out the mouth, 6 seconds. Just relax. Hopefully you have a TV on the ceiling and you can actually watch Married with Children at the same time. Okay, so option 1. What's option 2?
Option number 2 is almost a completely opposite motion, but can be a really big win for some people at home. And so you just get down onto your stomach. Say rounding causes pain for you, picking things up, things of that sort. Going into this little bit of extended position here can be really beneficial. So you lay on your stomach on the floor, okay? And you'll see that Seb has his head relaxed into his hands like this, okay? Another thing I like to add is bring your toes towards each other, let your heels kind of fall to the side so that'll look like this. And that turns your glutes off, allows a little bit more extension into the back here, and then the only thing you're doing is breathing into your belly. Expanding from all sides of the belly here. So where my hands are on Seb here, as well as where he feels the table underneath him, he's trying to breathe into those areas. One way that you can progress this just a little bit is by propping yourself up onto your elbows like you are reading a book. And so now that just adds a little bit more extension, again, relaxing the glutes, relaxing the low back muscles, and breathing into the belly into this position. I just hold it for 30 seconds to a minute to see how that feels on your low back.
Good. Yeah. This one, what if this goes down my leg though?
If it goes down your leg, so in this, actually, yeah, that was really important. So with this specific movement, we are making sure that the pain that you are feeling does not travel further down or further away from the spine, okay? Some of you may be having a little bit of glute pain, and if you get into this position, your glute pain maybe goes away, but you feel it a little bit more in the back. That's okay, that's actually what we're looking for. But if it travels further down, then this isn't gonna be the movement for you.
Okay. So, maybe a couple talking points too is that I know I've met a lot of people who have said, well, I have this disc herniation and I don't want to have surgery, but I heard my glute is off and my hip flexor is too tight and my hamstring's an issue and, I got a little hip pain. They think it's from impingement. What if I just deal with all that stuff? Like, will that stop my pain?
I think that if you stop this first by trying some of these two things, the rest of it could resolve. Okay.
Good. I would agree with that. I think that some of the things like the tightness, like the lower back tightness, which is protective in this case because it doesn't want you to bend forward. Your body's trying to help you. Or even like the hip flexor, it'll extend you, but they just get tired. They're working a lot, and so the best thing to do is just make it so they don't have to work so hard, and then they won't feel quite as bad. Stretching them and just kind of doing that endless cycle of stretching and massaging them, if it doesn't help and it keeps coming back and now you're on the thought of having surgery for this thing, then I think you need to give those things a break by reducing the central problem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You could even use this stuff as like a thing that you are constantly doing over and over, but it keeps continuing to return. This is just step number 1 to the recovery process of this. There are more steps going forward, but the first thing is to reduce pain and reduce irritation to that area to begin with in the first place, so then we can build up later going forward.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, so there's a couple steps to recovery, like I think getting people out of pain is it's really not that hard, and you could do something as simple as laying on your belly, and that might just take all your pain away until you move. But we need to build supports to the area, and that comes with a little effort and just different exercises to do. Again, they're going to be prescribed specifically for what works and what doesn't work, and then we just have to get you to normal strength conditioning. Not even heavy weights, just being able to pick something up with good form and building the strength of the hips and so on. But we address this as a step process to people because they think that as soon as their pain goes away, that's it, and that's all the options for them. And then they end up living for a while thinking about maybe my back is weak and it's just a bad back. You can see a lot of searches that people ask what to do for a bad back and asking if it's genetic and my dad had back pain and so on. It's really the way you treat your spine. So you have to have good spinal hygiene, daily good hygiene, and it comes with good physical activity.
Nice. Nicely put. Lost my voice.
So if you guys want to find more on disc, we do have a lot of videos on disc that you can actually go through on our channel. Just go through the corners and subscribe. There's a button there somewhere. And the search bar at the top of the channel will just say, what are you looking for? And so just put in disc. Usually disc doesn't have a K at the end, it has a C. And so go and look through disc and you'll find out a bunch of exercises we're talking about. If you want our help in person, we are available. We're in Huntington Beach, California. Again, we don't want to lie to you and say that these things are an end all. And also too, it's hard to say that in person or that self-care is better than in person. In person is better every single time. But if you don't have the ability to do so, there are other options to just get programming and suggestions of what to do, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We've come up with a bunch of different ways that you guys can take yourself through some of these steps that we're talking about from home as well. And if that's something that you guys are interested in, whether you are just uncomfortable coming in person at the time, can't make it at the time, or you're just not located near us, we have many ways that we can meet you where you're at. And so all you got to do is you can just give us a call if you want to, 714-502-4243, or you can send us an email, info@p2sportscare.com, and just let us know, hey, I think I have a disc herniation based off of what you were talking about. I tried some of these things. It worked for me. Where do I go from here? And we'd love to help guide you.
By the way, we have a couple self-tests to know if you have a beyond reasonable doubt if a disc is your issue. So that's a good search on the channel too. See you guys next time.